25 real foods. They served in Wild West Saloons. Think cowboys just rode into a saloon for a shot of whiskey? Think again. Wild West Saloons weren't just watering holes. They were the heart of frontier life, serving up some of the strangest, richest, and most surprising meals on the entire frontier. From deep-fried bull testicles to sourdough flapjacks carried in saddlebags, these aren't just campfire legends, they were real dishes served to real gunslingers. Join us as we uncover 25 cowboy recipes you never knew were actually on the menu at Wild West Saloons. Son of a Gun Stew. This unique stew is a true symbol of the resourcefulness and nothing-goes-to-waste spirit of cowboys and settlers. Son of a Gun Stew was made from every part of the animal, from the offal, heart, liver, marrow, and even the brains of a freshly butchered beef or veal. These ingredients were slow-cooked in a rich broth with potatoes, onions, and sometimes carrots or wild herbs found along the trail. The name Son of a Gun might come from the fact that it was cooked on the trail with no proper kitchen tools, just what was available from a cowboy's gun, or simply as a humorous way to describe a dish made from whatever was left. This stew wasn't just a hearty, high-calorie meal. It was incredibly affordable. For cattle ranchers, it was a rite of passage, marking acceptance and integration into the cowboy community. A steaming pot of this nutritious stew provided essential energy after long, exhausting days on horseback, facing dangers and the harshness of nature. It didn't just warm the stomach, it warmed the soul, recalling the simple yet comforting one-pot meals of the settlers, where everything was utilized to the fullest, reflecting traditional values of frugality and resilience. This stew is a vivid testament to how people survived and thrived in the toughest conditions. Sourdough Flapjacks. Imagine a classic cowboy breakfast where large, thick, and chewy pancakes became the fuel for a long day. That's sourdough flapjacks, also affectionately known as sinkers because they hit your gut like a rock, but kept you full for a long time. These flapjacks were made from naturally fermented sourdough, creating a distinctive, slightly sour taste, completely different from today's pancakes. The sourdough fermentation process not only helped the pancakes rise, but also served as a clever preservation method, eliminating the need for commercial yeast, which was hard to find on the frontier. They were often fried in bacon grease to enhance their rich flavor and crispiness. Served with molasses, lard, or canned fruit if available. Simple ingredients that provided the necessary energy and sweetness for a harsh life. These sinkers weren't just a dish. They were a symbol of the pioneers' resourcefulness, adaptability, and perseverance. When we think of sourdough flapjacks, we don't just remember a meal, but also feel the warmth, fullness, and gratitude of those who lived and worked in scarcity, where every meal was a priceless gift. Chuckwagon Coffee. Chuckwagon coffee, also known as tar water or six-gun coffee due to its thick consistency, wasn't just a drink, it was the lifeblood of trail life. This coffee was brewed extra strong, typically by adding coffee grounds directly to a tin pot of boiling water, then simmering until a rich aroma filled the air. To settle the grounds to the bottom, all sorts of tricks were used, adding crushed eggshells, ground beans, a pinch of salt, or even a piece of rawhide. These unique methods weren't just survival hacks, but showed creativity in scarce circumstances. This coffee kept cowboys and travelers alert, helped ward off hangovers after long nights, or simply pushed through the exhaustion of long journeys. Sometimes a bit of whiskey was added to fix the bitterness or boost the kick, turning it into a crude but effective energy cocktail. For many, Chuckwagon coffee wasn't just a cup of joe, but a memory of misty mornings on the prairie, of camaraderie, and of stories told by the campfire light. It represents the indomitable spirit, resilience, and ability to enjoy simple pleasures in the harsh life of the Wild West. Fried salt pork and beans. This was the backbone of frontier life, a simple yet incredibly effective and filling meal that gave cowboys enough strength to work from dawn till dusk. Salt pork was the easiest meat to preserve without refrigeration, becoming a primary protein source for thousands of laborers. Thick slices of salt pork were cut and fried until crispy, golden, and fragrant. Then they were placed over hot stewed beans, often pinto or navy beans, slow-cooked with molasses, onions, and lard to enhance flavor and richness. This dish was not only easy to prepare but also extremely popular, so much so that an 1886 cookbook called Cooking for Profit included its recipe, emphasizing its simplicity and effectiveness. Many saloons even serve this dish 24/7, becoming a reliable lifesaver for anyone needing a quick, hot, and filling meal, whether in the early morning or late at night. For a nostalgic audience, this dish evokes traditional values of hard work, simplicity, and gratitude for life's smallest blessings. It's an authentic slice of the unglamorous but meaningful life of those who built America. Which of these dishes do you think would be a true lifesaver for a cowboy after a long, tiring day in the saddle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Prairie oysters, Rocky Mountain oysters. Not seafood, but an exclusive Wild West delicacy, prairie oysters, also known as Rocky Mountain oysters, are deep-fried bull testicles. This dish symbolizes the toughness and grit of men on the frontier. To prepare, bull testicles were carefully cleaned, thinly sliced, then coated in flour and basic seasonings before being deep-fried until golden and appealingly colored. The origin of this dish is tied to cattle branding festivals where young bull calves were castrated. Instead of wasting them, these parts were fully utilized, reflecting the nothing goes to waste philosophy of frontier inhabitants. While the name might seem curious or off-putting to many today, at the time, enjoying prairie oysters was not just a meal but a way to show courage, integration, and a willingness to face challenges. This is a dish rich in history and culture, depicting a unique aspect of cowboy life where everything had value and was maximized for survival and development. Rabbit stew. When beef or other livestock meats became scarce or too expensive, rabbit meat became a common and practical alternative in the Wild West. Rabbit stew was a dish that utilized abundant natural resources, showing the flexibility of frontier cuisine. Rabbit was stewed with potatoes, onions, carrots, and sometimes turnips or wild herbs found, creating a warm, nutritious stew. The rabbit was often browned in lard before being slow-cooked for hours, making the meat tender and flavorful. What's special is that some eateries in New Mexico and Arizona were even more creative, adding chili, cumin, and garlic to the rabbit stew, creating a unique blend of cowboy cuisine with Mexican and native traditions. This cultural fusion not only enriched the flavor but also told a story of interaction between communities on the frontier. This stew not only fed the people but also symbolized adaptability, the ability to utilize natural resources, and the diversity of Wild West culinary culture. Squirrel Fricassee. Squirrel meat, a cheap and abundant protein source in many forested areas of the Wild West, became the main ingredient for squirrel fricassee, a unique and flavorful cream stew. To prepare this dish, squirrel meat was often lightly fried to create an outer crust and retain the meat's sweetness, then slow simmered in a rich, creamy sauce. This sauce was usually made from the pan drippings during simmering, combined with flour and milk, creating a smooth, rich mixture that coated each piece of squirrel meat. This dish was typically served with hot biscuits or cornbread, perfect for soaking up the flavorful sauce, providing a filling and warm feeling. Squirrel fricassee is a prime example of the resourcefulness of Native Americans and settlers in utilizing every available natural resource to sustain themselves. It's not just a dish, but a story about living close to nature, about the ability to turn seemingly simple ingredients into a delicious and nutritious meal. For the audience, this dish can evoke feelings of simplicity, self-reliance, and the hidden beauty in the rustic cuisine of a bygone era. Pickled eggs. If you've ever watched Wild West movies, you've probably seen opaque glass jars lined up on the saloon bar. Inside them were pickled eggs, a quick and convenient snack, no utensils needed, and just a few cents to enjoy. These were hard-boiled eggs steeped in a special vinegar solution, mixed with salt, mustard seeds, pepper, garlic, and sometimes beet juice or chili for added color and a spicy kick. Pickling not only preserved the eggs longer without refrigeration, but also created a unique sour, salty, spicy flavor that tantalized the taste buds and served as a perfect appetizer for a drink. For cowboys and nomads, pickled eggs were an ideal choice due to their convenience and ability to provide quick energy. They were a part of saloon culture where people could quickly refuel and continue their journey or their fun. Corn Dodger biscuits. Corn Dodger biscuits, also known as Johnnycakes in some regions, are a distinctive frontier biscuit, deeply influenced by Native American communities. These biscuits were handcrafted from basic ingredients like cornmeal, boiling water, and a pinch of salt, sometimes with added bacon grease or lard for extra flavor and richness. They could be fried on a cast iron griddle or baked over a fire, creating a crispy outer crust and a soft interior with a characteristic smoky flavor and a hint of sweetness from the cornmeal. Corn Dodger biscuits were not just a dish, but an essential part of every Wild West meal, serving a role similar to bread today. They were versatile, eaten plain, dipped in molasses, or used as an edible plate to pile stews or beans on, helping to maximize food and waste nothing. This dish is a testament to the creativity and adaptability of frontier people in creating filling, convenient meals from readily available ingredients. It evokes a time when simplicity and efficiency were paramount, where every bite was not just nourishment, but a part of survival culture. Among these unique dishes, which one are you most curious to try? Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to know. Hardtack and Gravy. Hardtack was a notorious survival biscuit known for its extreme hardness, earning it the nickname Toothbreakers. They were made from the most basic ingredients, flour, water, and salt, then baked dry and hard to preserve for very long periods. It was a staple food for soldiers, sailors, and long-distance travelers due to its durability. However, in saloons, hardtack was significantly upgraded to be more palatable and appealing. To soften this super hard biscuit, saloon cooks would soak them in water or hot broth until they were soft enough to eat. Then, the softened hardtack pieces were topped with a hot, rich gravy, often made from salt pork fat, flour, and pepper. This dish offered a civilized taste and a warm, filling sensation after days of meager eating on the trail. Hardtack and gravy was not just a meal but a symbol of recovery, a moment of rest and replenishment after arduous journeys. It brings to mind the contrast between the harshness of life on the trail and the warmth and comfort a saloon could provide. Buffalo roast. In the early years of westward expansion, buffalo or bison meat was not just an important food source but a premium dish, demonstrating status in saloons near railroads or hunting camps. Buffalo meat is very lean, dark red, and has a rich, distinctive flavor compared to domesticated beef. It was often roasted over an open fire or in a cast iron oven until perfectly cooked, fragrant, and with an appealing outer crust. Specifically, the buffalo hump was considered the best part, with tender meat and a unique flavor, often reserved for discerning or well-heeled customers. However, the popularity of this dish also contributed to pushing the buffalo species to the brink of extinction in the late 1800s. A sad truth, but a part of Wild West history. This dish was not just a hearty feast, but a slice of the ecosystem and the changes brought by humans. Buffalo roast can evoke images of vast wildlands of abundant resources, but also serves as a reminder of the consequences of over-exploitation. Biscuits and Molasses. Simple, sweet, and incredibly filling, biscuits and molasses was a classic Wild West dish, likened to frontier fuel. Biscuits were made from flour, lard, salt, and water, or buttermilk, then baked hot and fluffy. While still warm, these biscuits were split open and generously drizzled with thick, dark molasses, creating a unique flavor combination of the rich sweetness of molasses and the subtle saltiness of the biscuit. Molasses was an abundant source of sugar and carbohydrates, providing quick energy and one of the few popular desserts when fresh fruit or elaborate pies were unavailable. For many, especially children, this dish was not just a meal but a simple joy, a taste of childhood and rare sweetness in a harsh life. Biscuits and Molasses is a testament to the creativity in using the most basic ingredients to create a delicious, nutritious, and comforting dish. It represents the simplicity yet abundance of emotion in frontier meals, where every moment was cherished. Fried calf brains. While it might seem like a strange, even daunting dish today, fried calf brains were a prime example of the Wild West's nothing goes to waste philosophy, and were even considered a delicacy in some towns. Calf brains, after careful cleaning, would be sliced and coated in flour or cornmeal with basic seasonings, then fried until golden and crispy on the outside with a tender interior. The popularity of this dish was especially evident in areas with German, French, or Mexican cultural influences, where brain dishes were already part of traditional cuisine. It not only provided valuable fats and energy, but was also a way to fully utilize parts of livestock often discarded. For cowboys and settlers, this was a nourishing meal, sometimes a worthwhile change of pace after long days of only eating salted meat and beans. Fried calf brains serve as a reminder of the diversity and adaptability of historical cuisine, while also evoking stories of cultural exchange and the resourcefulness of those who lived in that era. Miner's pot pie. Miner's pot pie was not just a dish, but the closest thing to a homemade meal that miners and cowboys could find in Wild West saloons. This was a hearty, affordable, and particularly easy-to-make dish in large quantities to serve dozens of people at once. It typically used meats like beef, rabbit, or squirrel, slow-cooked with onions and available vegetables like potatoes and carrots. This rich stew filling was then poured into a sweet pie crust or topped with soft biscuits, forming a large baked pie. When baked, the crust was golden and crispy, with a hot, steaming meat filling inside, providing a sense of warmth and satisfaction after a long day of hard work in the mines or on the prairie. This dish not only provided energy, but also brought a feeling of being cared for, of eating a truly comforting meal like at home. Miner's pot pie symbolizes care, efforts to bring comfort and warmth to the hardworking people on the frontier. Game jerky, venison, elk, antelope. Before today's convenient snack packs, the Wild West had game jerky, the original bar snack, and a symbol of self-reliance. These were thin slices of venison, elk, or antelope, seasoned with salt, pepper, chili, and herbs, then smoked and sun-dried. This process removed almost all moisture, turning the meat into dried, chewy pieces that could be preserved for extremely long periods without refrigeration. Game jerky was not just a snack, but a rich source of protein and energy for cowboys, hunters, or travelers on long journeys, where carrying fresh food was impossible. The rich, salty, and slightly spicy taste of dried meat offered a unique culinary experience, reflecting a life connected to hunting and the harshness of nature. What's special is that this dish didn't need heating. It could be eaten directly anytime, anywhere, demonstrating maximum practicality. Game jerky evokes images of adventures, endless journeys, and the free spirit of the Wild West. If you had a time machine, which Wild West saloon would you visit and what would you order? Share your imaginary experience in the comments below. Wild turkey and dumplings. When beef was too expensive or scarce, wild turkey became a valuable and common protein source in the Wild West, especially in forested areas. Wild turkey and dumplings offered the closest feeling to a Sunday dinner at home for cowboys and settlers far from home. Wild turkey meat was slow-cooked for hours until tender, then shredded and added to a rich broth. The broth was seasoned with herbs, onions, garlic, and pepper, creating a fragrant, appealing flavor. The highlight of the dish was the soft, fluffy dumplings made from flour, dropped into the soup at the very end. These dumplings soaked up the broth's flavor, providing a filling and comforting sensation. This dish is a symbol of abundance, of moments gathered together and enjoying the taste of a cozy meal like back home. It evokes emotions about family, traditional values, and the warmth pioneers always yearned for in their arduous lives. Cornmeal mush with tallow drizzle. Cornmeal mush was a simple, affordable, yet incredibly filling dish, an indispensable breakfast or snack for pioneers in the Wild West. Cornmeal was slow-cooked in water or milk until thick and creamy, forming a warm porridge. Then the mush was poured into a mold, cooled and solidified, then sliced thickly. These slices could then be fried until golden and crispy on the outside, while remaining soft on the inside. This dish was often served with molasses or syrup for sweetness, but the traditional and more common way was to drizzle hot tallow rendered beef fat over it. Tallow not only added richness, but also provided essential energy and fat for those doing heavy labor. Cornmeal mush with tallow drizzle not only kept one warm and full, but also symbolized simplicity, self-sufficiency, and the ability to utilize every ingredient for survival. Dried apple pie. In the Wild West, fresh apples were a luxury, but dried apples were a kind of gold, equally precious, sometimes even more valuable than whiskey to many. Dried apple pie was a rich, flavorful dessert, created with the ingenuity of frontier people. Dried apples were rehydrated, then seasoned with cinnamon, nutmeg, and sugar for the pie filling. The crust was made from flour, lard, and water, creating a crispy, rich pastry. When baked, the aroma of dried apples and spices filled the saloon, bringing a warm and familiar feeling, reminiscent of bountiful harvests and plenty. This pie was not just a dessert, but a symbol of comfort, of simple joys in a harsh life. It's a reminder that even in the most deprived conditions, humans can create sweet things, memorable moments. Dried apple pie is a part of the memory of the resilience and ability to enjoy life of those who built the Wild West, where every slice carries the taste of history and homesickness. Fried corn cakes, Johnnycakes. Fried corn cakes, also known as Johnnycakes, are the frontier flatbread, a dish with deep roots in Native American communities. They were made from incredibly simple ingredients: cornmeal, boiling water, and a pinch of salt, then mixed and fried on a hot griddle until golden and crispy with a distinctive corn aroma. Johnnycakes were not just a dish, but an important part of daily meals. They could be eaten with molasses or syrup for sweetness, or used as an edible plate under stews or beans. Their convenience, low cost, and ability to provide quick energy made them a top choice for cowboys, hunters, or anyone living and working on the frontier. This dish is a testament to the resourcefulness, adaptability, and respect of indigenous people for available resources. Johnnycakes evoke images of rustic, simple yet flavorful meals, reflecting the authentic and close-to-nature life of a bygone era. Cow tongue and brown gravy. Today, beef tongue might seem like a rather unusual dish to many, but in Wild West saloons it was a premium delicacy, favored by connoisseurs or those with status. Beef tongue was carefully prepared, boiled with seasonings and onions until tender, then peeled, sliced, and lightly pan-fried to create an outer layer. Finally, these tongue slices were generously covered in a thick brown gravy, often made from meat drippings, flour, and spices, creating a rich, savory flavor. Cow tongue and brown gravy was often served to experienced cowboys, big-winning gamblers, or sheriffs, those who could afford a more special meal. This dish not only provided nutrition, but was also a comfort food after long days of hard work or intense shootouts. It testifies to the diversity of Wild West cuisine, where even seemingly strange dishes could become symbols of luxury and status. It evokes stories of differing tastes and lifestyles of people from a bygone era. Pinto bean chili without tomatoes. This is an authentic frontier-style chili, a dish that people praised as a red, bite-back bowl of chili. What makes this chili special is that it did not use tomatoes, which were hard to find or expensive in the Wild West before canned tomatoes became common. The dish primarily consisted of pinto beans, crushed dried chilies, and beef, slow-simmered for hours until the ingredients melded together, creating a rich, spicy, and incredibly warming flavor. Pinto bean chili was not just a mere dish, but was also advertised as both medicine, a legend, and a marketing tool to attract customers to saloons. It provided abundant energy, helped combat the cold of frontier nights, and was an important source of nutrition for hardworking people. This dish is a testament to the resourcefulness, creativity, and scarcity of the Wild West people, where available ingredients were maximized to create delicious and meaningful meals. This bean chili is an authentic slice of survival cuisine, where every bowl of chili carried stories of a challenging but spirited life. bread pudding with whiskey sauce. This was a clever and sophisticated dessert, demonstrating the chef's care and bringing warmth and kindness to those far from home. Bread pudding with whiskey sauce was made from seemingly leftover ingredients: stale biscuits, old bread, or leftover cornbread. These pieces were soaked in a mixture of milk, sugar, and eggs, then baked until golden, soft, and fragrant. What made this dish special was the whiskey sauce. This sauce was made from whiskey, sugar, and butter, melted and drizzled over the hot bread pudding just before serving. The rich aroma of whiskey combined with the sweet and creamy taste of the pudding created an unforgettable culinary experience, bringing a rare sense of luxury to cowboys. This dessert was not just a way to utilize food, but also a symbol of refinement in frontier cuisine, where even the simplest meals could become a work of art. This dish evokes feelings of family warmth, moments of self-indulgence, and small but meaningful joys in life. Fried trout with cornmeal crust. In mountain towns near rivers where trout was abundant, fried trout with cornmeal crust offered a rare, delicate, and fresh taste for cowboys, making them feel like they were dining at a fine dining restaurant. Freshly caught trout was cleaned, then coated in seasoned cornmeal. This cornmeal crust not only made the fish crispier, but also added a distinctive flavor, a popular cooking style in the Wild West. The fish was then fried in lard until golden, fragrant, and with a crispy outer crust. Fried trout was often served whole, accompanied by pickled onions or boiled potatoes. Simple side dishes that balanced the flavor and provided extra nutrition. This meal demonstrated the diversity of frontier cuisine, not limited to red meat and stews, but also including delicious fresh freshwater seafood. It evokes images of clear rivers, pristine nature, and the ability to enjoy valuable gifts from the land and sky for those who lived in that era. Gooseberry Cobbler. Gooseberry Cobbler was a sweet and flavorful dessert of the wildlands, baked into a soft, warm dish that brought comfort after long days. Gooseberries grew wild in many areas of the Wild West, and they were harvested to make the pie filling. Gooseberries were cooked with sugar until they formed a sweet, slightly tart jam filling. This jam filling was then poured into a cast iron skillet and topped with a thick layer of dough, forming a soft, baked crust. When baked, the pie emitted an enticing aroma and could be served with fresh cream if available, a rarity on the frontier, or simply sprinkled with sugar. This dessert was not only a way to utilize abundant natural fruit, but also a symbol of sweetness, of relaxing moments, and of enjoying life amidst wild nature. Gooseberry Cobbler is a part of the memory of simple but meaningful meals, where the flavors of nature blended with human ingenuity to create joy. Scrapple. Scrapple was an economical but incredibly filling breakfast dish that appeared in Wild West Saloons from the late 1800s, with deep roots in Mid-Atlantic and Pennsylvania Dutch communities. This dish was a celebration of resourcefulness, made from pork scraps, liver, parts often discarded, combined with cornmeal and spices. This mixture was then pressed into a thick loaf, cooled, sliced, and pan-fried until crispy. When fried, scrapple slices had a crispy outer crust and a tender interior, with a rich, savory flavor providing a large amount of energy for a hard day's work. This dish was not only cheap and easy to make in large quantities, but also very popular among those who needed a quick and nutritious meal. Scrapple is a testament to the fact that nothing goes to waste, and culinary creativity can transform seemingly unappealing ingredients into a beloved dish. It evokes stories of frugality, traditional values, and the self-reliance of those who built the country from the toughest conditions. These dishes may have disappeared from today's menus, but they are an indispensable part of American culinary history, reflecting resourcefulness, resilience, and even moments of joy on the frontier. If this video has ignited your passion for the Wild West, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next historical culinary journey. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.